everybody, Dennis and Julie, and it is great to be back with you. I just want to tell you, we feel awful. I mean, I think we might feel more awful than you do, though I hope you feel awful too, that we missed finally one in how many?
In two and a half years.
That's a lot of shows, and we missed the Dennis and Julie. There was no way around it. We did pre-record many, but we didn't realize how long you would be away.
I know.
Of course, I was away for a big chunk of it too.
Greenland and Iceland.
Yeah, Greenland, Iceland.
But we're back.
Orkneys, and we are back. And folks, so I just want you to know that I've talked to Julie very, very little about her trip. And the major reason was to save it to be utterly spontaneous on Dennis and Julie. But there's so much to unravel, because we're not going to give you a travel log. It's not our style.
We could.
Yeah, but it's not our style.
No, it's not.
Okay, it's first of all, the stuff you did is meaningful. I mean, this was not let's see beautiful sights, though you did that too. Also, the amount of speaking that you did, which is really, really wonderful. And the places she went to. So I will probably at some point talk to you about you, not just about it. The it is interesting, but you're more interesting. And I want to know how you're handling it, because the number of people your age who got to do what you did is close to zero.
I know.
On Earth.
I know. Oh, trust me, I know.
So it'll be fascinating. But let's begin at the beginning, folks.
Well, could I please? I'm so sorry. I hate doing this, but we have not filmed a Dennis and Julie since the Trump assassination attempt, since Joe Biden stepping down.
We pre-recorded
We haven't addressed any of that. And people have been writing in saying, oh my gosh, we're dying to hear your take on it.
That's a very
and I've been
good
saying,
point.
Sean joked that I picked the worst few weeks. But you know what? Actually, believe it or not, I intuited. I mean, it didn't take, Nostradamus level, intuition to know that something was going to go down sooner or later. But before I went on the trip, I intuited that something really bad was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to be an assassination attempt, a stock market crash, something. But actually, I wanted to get away from America while it happened to better understand America.
Well, that's worthy of its own hour. How much importance there is in getting perspective, not only on your country and your society, but on your own life. You have to leave traveling enables you to leave your life and then look at it more clearly.
Yes, I understand and appreciate America. And I was like the number one appreciator of America prior to the trip, but I understand it and appreciate it a lot more, and understand its deficits too. And that's true of my own life as well, but we can get to that. But I do think we should spend a few moments, if you're willing, talking about what happened. And just, I don't even know, Dennis, because we haven't spoken. Where were you? How did you find out?
Well, needless to say, I talked about it a lot on my radio show, as you would imagine. And I'll tell you in retrospect, because I've had more time to think about it, obviously. Mm-hmm. This I have not mentioned as much. I just would ask people to think, had there been an assassination attempt on Joe Biden, God forbid, by the way, I think it would be horrific.
Horrible. Just
want to make that clear, and I would happily take a lie detector test. I loathe that man, and I loathe his party. But I would be so unhappy if there were an assassination attempt, let alone if there was a successful assassination of him. It would be a horrible moment in American history. But if there had been the equivalent attack, all we would have been hearing is like about January 6th.
Yep.
That the hate of the right is the greatest threat to democracy in American history. They're trying to kill us. And within days of the Trump assassination, the media went silent.
Not only silent, but they're suppressing search results. Big tech is, I mean, we're not seeing any of it. And by the way, what do we know about this shooter? Where's his body? Why haven't we heard from his parents? We know very little about him.
That's right.
Shady beyond belief.
I agree.
Shady beyond belief.
Right, not to mention the incompetence of the Secret Service, which is painful.
I mean, this was an enormous thing. I mean, just to go back, and it was less than a month ago. I believe that God intervened. I believe that was a miracle, and I know that you've seen this too. That it was a shot right at his head, and at the last minute he turned.
Right.
And it nicked his ear.
Last nanosecond.
I mean, can we just take a moment, and I'm sorry to go here, but I think it's very important for us to. Can we take a moment to just contemplate what would have happened to our country had that bullet hit his head?
Convulsions.
Had there been a high definition video of the former president of the United States, Donald Trump, having his head, forgive me, blown off on live television? Can we imagine for a moment what that would have done to us?
Mm-hmm. That's right. How close we were to life-changing events and chaos. And
I'll take it a step further. I think there's a lot of evidence which would point to that this, obviously we have to choose our words carefully, that this is likely an inside job.
Really?
Really?
Really
that I'm saying it?
Yes.
Yeah, well, I don't care. I want to speak the truth.
No, fine.
I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous.
What does it mean, inside job? You think that people in the deep state sought this?
I do. I really do. And I don't have any problem saying that. And I'm very, very careful about, I think it's.
Have you bounced this off my wife?
I actually haven't, but I don't need to. I already know what she's going to say. Well, let's really look at this here. And you know that I choose my words very carefully, and I'm very hesitant to make such bold claims. But this is the same government that came up with the phony Steele dossier to say that and this is big stuff, that Donald Trump colluded with Russia. This is the same government that denied that COVID came from the Wuhan Institute of Virology and that we were doing gain of function research. This is the same government that had 51 ex-intelligence officials say that the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation. This is the same government that used FISA warrants to spy on Carter Page and other members of the Trump campaign on no grounds. Same government that had the FBI raid Mar-a-Lago in order to retrieve these classified documents when many other presidents have, as we know, Joe Biden and all these other officials had classified documents. This is the same government that convicted Donald Trump on all 34 felony counts of a bogus sham legal trial. And you're telling me that this guy totally acted alone. The rooftop adjacent to the president is completely unsurveilled. There's no Secret Service on it. People are pointing to this man slithering up the building with a gun and yelling, "He's got a gun, he's got a gun." Law enforcement's looking around like, "Oh, wow, this guy is going on a building and has a gun." Are you telling me it's not an inside job? It is an inside job in at the very least in the sense that it was spectacular incompetence. Or people looking the other way.
All right, that's not the same as an inside job.
I mean, but why were people looking the other way?
Incompetence.
Why was that rooftop
Yeah, it's funny. Alan Estrin's theory is whenever incompetence is a possible explanation, use it. That's I'm paraphrasing
right, and it pains me. It's not fun for me to come out and say this. I know what this means for my reputation. This is not fun for me.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
We have to speak the truth.
I don't know what the answer is.
I
don't know.
Do you think it wasn't? You think he acted alone?
I'm as agnostic on that as I am on the honesty of the 2020 election. I'm agnostic.
See, I'm not agnostic.
I know you're certain that. Okay, wait.
I'm not certain.
I'm certain they cheated. I'm not certain that they changed the verdict.
Yes, but that's very important because when you say you're agnostic, I think it's important to make that distinction.
Oh,
of course,
there's no doubt in my mind.
It was stolen. We don't know.
Okay, yeah.
But of course they cheated.
Yeah, no. Well, Donald Trump is certain it was stolen, and he may be right.
Right.
But on that, I'm agnostic. But look, the fact that I'm agnostic on whether or not the American election of the President of the United States was honest. It's bad enough to be agnostic. I mean, this guy who loves this country harbors serious doubts as to the legitimacy of a national election. That's a bad sign. If you can move me, who is not at all generally a conspiratorial thinker, then
me neither.
Then it's a bad sign.
And here's the thing too. It is not fun, as I said, for me to come on this show and say what I just said.
Correct.
I know what it does for my reputation.
Right.
Many people have advised me not to go there. But the reason I'm going there is truly because of love of country. And here's what I'm not, I know what's going to happen, or I can predict, I shouldn't say I know, I can predict what's going to happen because we've seen it time and time again. People speak the truth. They say, no, Donald Trump did not collude with Russia. No, COVID did not come from a bat. It came from a lab. No, the Hunter Biden laptop story is not Russian disinformation. It is very, and people speak the truth. They're called conspiracy theorists. And then months and years later, the real truth comes out and everyone just lets it go. And here we had this guy try to assassinate the president. He could have acted alone. If I'm wrong on this, I will be the first one to come out and say that I'm wrong because I care very much about the truth. But what I don't want to see happen is that we, let this one go like all the other ones. And then a few months later, it comes out that there was some shady business and we just go, oh, too bad. Just another lie the left got away with. This guy could have been killed. He could have died.
You mean Trump?
Yes, he could have died. I know I'm getting animated about this, but I'm honestly kind of upset at we conservatives. I don't think that we are treating this with the gravity that we should. I think that we're kind of succumbing to this whole, oh, we should just move on. No, who is this guy? Why was that roof unsurveilled? Why was he slithering up there for 15 minutes and people were yelling? This is really shady. And no wonder people think it's an inside job. I don't think they're conspiratorial or crazy to suspect that.
I don't think they're crazy or conspiratorial to think it. I mean, they are conspiratorial by definition, but you don't.
But what are we waiting for? Another hearing?
Well,
like the January 6th
it is remarkable
committee.
how little has come out.
Right, I mean, and then we know we had the January 6th committee, and then there were 40,000 hours of footage which the January 6th committee did not show until the House became Republican. They handed that footage to Tucker Carlson, and then it was found that there was video of 9 Capitol police officers escorting Jacob Chansley throughout the Capitol, and that was the exculpatory evidence which got him out of prison. Is this what we're waiting for? I mean, this has just happened time and time again. Oh, we'll investigate it. And the investigations go nowhere until it's too late and the truth is uncovered.
If you're still waiting to buy gold, sitting on the sidelines might cost you precious gains. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. That's my choice for precious metals. The current economic climate could make buying gold a very desirable safe haven commodity. The government's overprinting of money, the fluctuation of interest rates, and high inflation can all impact the value of gold, and it's why you should seriously consider buying now. I've been working with AmFed Coin and Bullion's owner, Nick Rovich, for years. I'm glad that I jumped into the precious metals market when I did, but it's never too late. Nick's been in the industry for over 42 years. And he's proud of providing transparency and fair pricing to build long-term relationships. Nick and his team have my back, and they will have yours. They recommend what's in my best interest, not theirs, and I never worry about hidden commissions or huge markups. If you're interested in buying or selling, call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com. Well,
I don't like the way I'm sounding right now. It's not fun.
I admire you for it. I just want to restate the political aspect that had it been in the other direction, that's all you would have been hearing about.
Yes.
They tried to kill the Democratic president.
Well, let's also put the shoe on the other foot here. Let's say that Joe Biden were giving a campaign speech and there was an unsurveilled, unoccupied rooftop. And some guy slithered up for 15 minutes with an assault rifle as people were yelling, this guy's got a gun. And then the guy shot at Joe Biden and missed him barely. What do you think they would be saying about it?
Right. Why did they let him slide up that roof?
Why was the rooftop unoccupied? And why did they let him slither up that roof? And they would want to know everything about the shooter.
Where were you when this happened?
I was at, I think I can, she's made it public that she's married, but I was at Eva Vlaardingerbroek's wedding in Italy.
Eva, by the way, has been a guest on my show. She's
incredible.
Very special Dutch young woman, brilliant and beautiful.
And brave.
And everything good. And
I'm
glad she just got married.
We're so happy for her.
You bumped into her in Rome.
I did.
That's amazing. That is amazing.
A week before the wedding. Well, I was already going to the wedding. And
yeah, but
she...
oh, you were? Okay.
Yes. Well, it was so providential that I was in Rome. I was going to be in Rome when she invited me to the wedding, and she invited me, and I said, oh my gosh, I will actually happen to be in Rome then, because she got married very quickly. And then a week before the wedding, I was walking down the street in Rome, and all of a sudden I see Eva. She turns to me, and she's with her husband, and she goes, I know that voice, because I was talking. And she was just coming from her bridal fitting. She's so happy. I just have to tell you, she was so happy on her wedding day. I have never seen anything like it in my life. Her walking down the aisle is a vision that I will remember for the rest of my life. It is difficult for me to think of a happier person I've ever seen. She was crying. She was looking right at her husband. I felt like I was witnessing a miracle. She was overflowing with love of God.
She was actually tearing up when she walked down the aisle. That's really touching.
Also, it was blazing hot.
She's not Miss Emotion.
And she was crying, and she looked so beautiful. It didn't ruin her. It was really seeing that what made a great impression on me.
By the way, was it a Catholic church? So he's Catholic too? Because she converted to Catholicism.
She did, yes.
How long ago did she do that?
Gosh, probably about a year ago.
Yeah, it's pretty recent. Yes.
She immediately when she walked in, she crossed herself.
Did you get to meet him?
Yes.
And?
Lovely.
How did they meet?
They met at. Hi, Eva. We're talking about your whole story. I mean, I want to respect her privacy. I think she's talked about this, but they met at her friend's birthday.
So not through some Catholic group or something like that.
No, they met at a friend's birthday. I'm telling you, seeing her walk down the aisle, it happened so fast. I wish I could have just paused it. I've never seen someone look like that. So in love, so happy. I'll never forget it. So I was at her wedding when we found out that Trump got shot.
By the way,
which you can imagine is quite a story.
Did her parents walk down the aisle?
Her father, yes.
Her father. So, in the Jewish tradition, the parents accompany the groom and the bride.
Oh, you're right. That's right. I have seen that at Jewish weddings.
So how is it? I've been to many, but I don't remember. I've been to many not non-Jewish weddings, but Christian weddings, Protestant, Catholic. So I don't remember. Does anyone accompany the husband?
You know, when I got there, he was already up there.
So you showed up late.
And I wasn't late. I wasn't late.
You weren't late.
I wasn't late. You think I would be late? I actually showed up 2 hours early to make sure everybody was doing their job.
Okay. So who accompanied the bride? Did the bride just walk down alone?
No, her father walked down with her.
But not the mother.
No.
I find that
her mother did a beautiful reading.
Did the mother walk down the aisle on her own?
I didn't see that. No, they were already up there.
Oh, that's fascinating.
And I wasn't late. I'm not late.
So, I know this may not preoccupy most people, but I find these things fascinating. What is the tradition? Do you know? Maybe you don't know. First of all, is it the same in a Protestant and a Catholic wedding? That only the father accompanies the bride?
I don't know. You know, I did a show on weddings on Timeless like a year ago. Yeah. By the way, isn't it fascinating? You become an expert on something and then you kind of forget.
Oh, no, it's painful.
It's so painful. I used to know the answer to that question, and now I don't. So
I find it Yeah, I get it's all. Look, there's no right or wrong. Only morality is right or wrong, and this is not a moral issue. This is a cultural issue. But I'm still fascinated by the fact that a religious tradition would have the father alone accompany. I mean, I'm not a big feminist, but I
love it. I think it's
you
very,
do? You like
yes,
that?
Yes. When my sister got married, my father alone walked her down the aisle, and I thought it was lovely.
And the reason?
A tradition.
Okay, but why do you? By the way, I have nothing against it.
It felt like the man was giving away his daughter to another man. That's what I like about it.
As opposed to the parents giving away. Okay, fine. It's okay. It is what it is.
I will say, oh gosh, now I'm forgetting. Bring it back, Julie. Forgive me. It's jet lag.
So she was extremely happy.
Yes, Ava, I wanted to, yes, thank you. I wanted to say something while we're discussing her. You know, we talk a lot on this show about marriage and dating woes today and all of those things. Something I really admire about Ava, and I've learned a great lesson from her, is that she made herself good first, and then when she got herself really, really solid, that's when she found her husband. And she was already so solid. She's incredibly successful. You know her. She is a deeply magnanimous, brilliant person. I mean, she is the same off air as she is on air, and that's true of you. It's not that she was ever not good or not solid, but I really mean in her faith. She struggled with her faith. She's very open about this. You know, she recently did an interview, a fantastic interview on EWTN about becoming Catholic, and what's
EWTN?
EWTN is the Catholic news network.
Okay.
And she really struggled, and then she came to the Catholic faith, and she didn't. And by the way, I don't begrudge people who marry and convert. None of this is to begrudge people who go down that path. But what I really admire about her was that she figured herself out first, and she got really solid. Right. And then that's what brought her to the right man. And I was on this trip, I was talking with another couple who are 27 and 28 years old. I'm 24, and they got married about a year ago. And they were talking about, the husband left his job because he didn't like the values of his company, and then the wife went to go work for the pro-life movement, and that's how they met. And it's just another indication that when you are following the right path for yourself, and when you are getting yourself solid, for lack of a better way of phrasing it, it actually will lead you to the right person.
Well, hopefully. Yeah, but it is good to get your own house in order.
Yes.
On the other hand, a lot of people don't get married because they say, well, I have to get my house in order.
True.
My financial house, my psychological house.
There's kicking the can down the road. You're never fully in order. Well, of course, you need to build with somebody.
You won't be fully in order till you die. I mean, it's just the way it works.
Right.
So... Anyway, so okay,
the Trump thing, yeah.
You were where exactly again when you heard about it?
Ava's wedding.
Literally at the wedding.
Literally at the wedding, yes.
What, somebody sitting there told you about it?
No, we were in the countryside in Italy. Her mass was in Rome. The reception was in the countryside. There was no cellular service.
So how did you find out?
I could actually write a book on this the whole night. I mean, it was so great. But just finding out about the Trump assassination attempt, one person somehow had a text go through that said Trump got shot. Guess who that one person was? Me. I was the one person at the wedding, and this friend of mine who...
Did you tell people?
Yes. So I got this text from this guy who I really don't speak to very often, and I just got this text, Trump just got shot, WTF. Sorry, I'm panic texting all my conservative friends. Remember, it's ahead for us. So this happened in the afternoon in Butler, Pennsylvania, where it's like 11 o'clock or midnight in Italy. And so I tried to go on Safari, and there was no service. And I thought, is this guy playing a prank on me? And I'm like, no, I don't talk to him very often. He wouldn't just send this out of nowhere. So we didn't know if he was dead or alive. And so then I'm sitting next to my friend, and I turn and I show it to her, and she's like, oh my gosh. And so we were trying to run in and find Wi-Fi, but also we're at this wedding with all these conservatives. We don't want to ruin the wedding, because we thought Trump might have been dead.
So
and it was just very interesting.
So you didn't tell people?
I told my friend who I was next to.
Just your friend?
Yeah. And then we got Wi-Fi.
Okay. And then what did you do?
And then by that point, some more people had gotten texts. And then,
so
it was, he's alive. And
here, this is a classic Dennis and Julie moment, because it raises an interesting moral and religious issue, which you wouldn't expect. Are you ready?
Do you tell the bride?
No.
Because I was trying to hide it from her. I didn't want it to ruin her wedding.
Well, okay. Well, you're getting warmer, but it's not just the bride. So I remember, in Judaism, when a couple gets married, usually it's a Sunday, because people don't get married on the Sabbath. So on Saturday, the Sabbath, the Shabbat prior to the wedding, the couple is celebrated at synagogue during their service. Okay, and it's a big day for the couple. They're getting married tomorrow. Okay, or the next week, however it turns out. So I remember. Do you know the year by any chance when Rabin was assassinated?
Yeah. It was in the 90s.
I know.
Yeah,
94, 95 or something, or 93. Okay. So I'm at synagogue. We're 95. That's what I said, 94, 95. Okay. So 95. So I was at synagogue, and we were celebrating. We had a special meal for them right after the service for the young couple whom everybody adored. And then somebody comes in and goes, Rabin is assassinated. Because that was Israel time. It was Saturday night when it happened. Mm-hmm. That's how I know it was a Saturday night, because it was Saturday early afternoon, our time, in California. Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start? So I'd like to tell you why I chose PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition and is much more. They know 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating reasons you gained weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no injections, just solid science, science-based nutrition, and behavior change. If you're ready to lose weight for, I think, the last time, call 864-644-1900, 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Just make the appointment for your one-on-one consultation. Call today, 864-644-1900. And so you'll find this interesting. So I immediately drew two conclusions. One is, why did they tell everybody? They robbed this couple of their happy day. Nobody knew. We're all sitting in synagogue with our phones off. The second is, I immediately thought of something else. I don't listen to newscasts, not television, radio, podcast on the Sabbath. I tune out of the world, as you know. I don't even read a newspaper.
No, you don't. You don't even smoke a cigar. That's how dedicated he is.
That's true. That takes dedication. So I thought, that is such a brilliant thing to leave the world one day a week. They screwed up my Shabbat, and they screwed up this person's celebration.
Oh, it's so interesting that you bring this up, because I was the one person who found out.
That's why I'm asking you. I kept saying, did you tell the people?
Well, it was very jarring as an American and as someone who, obviously does this for work and who just loves and cares about my country, to see this text. Again, I only saw the text, Trump just got shot, WTF. Right. I didn't know if he was dead or alive. I mean, we thought he was dead. And so I sat there and I got the text. First, I'm trying to think, is this a prank? I'm trying to go on Safari. There's no service. And then I decided, I may be the only person at this wedding who is finding this out. I don't want Eva to find out. It's her wedding.
Right.
So
you were
I was
right.
next to to my friend who we're not the type to go stand on the table and yell it out. And I showed it to her, and she was my confidant. And then we sort of on our own went and found out. And then by that time, some other people had gotten some notification because it was spotty. The cell service was spotty. But for a good 20 minutes, we were the only two.
The
who
lesson
knew.
is get married where there's no cell service.
Yes. But everyone didn't want to tell her. And then once we found out he was okay, not to say it wasn't a big deal, but we could all kind of exhale.
Obviously, had he been dead, it would have been or terribly injured, it would have been a totally different story.
Right.
But I just want to make the point of the benefit of leaving the world a day a week.
Yes. And
the other is, there are people, obviously not you, but there are people, a lot of people, who get a high out of being the bearer of bad news.
Yes. Boy, oh my gosh. There is someone who I know, and a friend and I say of her, she never met a crisis she didn't love. Mm-hmm. We all know those people who love to be the ones because it brings attention to them.
That's right. It makes them
like
important for that moment.
They broke the story.
That's
it's like
right.
They were the reporter that broke the story. No, you're just the person who got the notification. No, I mean, I the whole time was I just confided in my friend.
I don't remember who it was, but I remember being angry at the person.
Yes.
That Shabbat.
Why would you do that? It's just bringing attention to yourself. Exactly.
And ruining it for the couple that were celebrating and for the Shabbat experience for everybody else. And for no good reason.
No good reason.
What am I going to do in California over the horror of Rabin being assassinated?
No, I mean, look, in that moment, it was very jarring, especially when I knew no information. So I did confide in a friend next to me, but I didn't announce it at the wedding. The two of us were the only ones who knew. And why would you, I mean, and then, in the case of Eva, I don't want her remembering that.
That's right.
People, it's just, and to your point, you can't do anything.
That's exactly. So it's really people need to think before they talk. I mean, this is a cliche, but that's what it is. Why am I a person? This is where self-knowledge is so important. Why am I telling people this? People don't ask themselves that. But people should. Why am I telling everybody?
I think it's to feel important.
Well, of course, that's the answer. No good can come from it. None.
Facts.
What's facts?
What you just said.
That no good can come from it? Yes, exactly correct. All right, next. So
I want to tell you a story.
Yeah.
Okay, I have, we rarely do this on Dennis and Julie, but I do have a story I want to tell you because I think it says so much.
What do we rarely do on Dennis and Julie?
I don't know. I feel like I just cut off the conversation to side rail it.
We whatever
that's
that
true.
word
All right,
is.
fair enough.
Yeah, okay.
I have so many stories I want to tell you, and I just want to summarize. I was in Italy, Malta, England, for speaking at Oxford, but only really for a day. Romania, Ireland,
Hungary,
Denmark. Did I say Hungary?
No.
Hungary. And then the border where we were was open with Hungary, so I scootered with Amala into Slovakia.
I didn't know that.
I know you don't know that because we haven't talked. You don't understand. Dennis is, our listeners do understand. You're my best friend. I tell you everything in my life. I have purposefully not told you things because I want to tell you that on Dennis and Julie. You didn't even hear the Ava wedding story.
No, I didn't. I
None
didn't
of it.
Hear any of this.
I've been hiding it from this guy for weeks, for D&J.
Yeah. Sean asked if I've ever scooted with Amala. I scooted with Amala so often that we actually had a podcast, Scooting with Amala.
Scooting?
Starring
Not
Dennis
even
Prager.
scootering.
Not even scootering. Scooting. Yes, it was.
That was pretty cool to scooter into Slovakia, though it is a little scary when you go into another country and you don't know anything.
So which border did you cross?
The northern.
The north of Slovakia is Czech Republic.
Well, no, the northern one with Hungary, the southern one of Slovakia.
Oh, okay, fine.
Because there's the Hungarian diaspora in Slovakia, in Romania, and because after World War I, Hungary shrunk in size.
Right.
History is very consequential, isn't it?
Not only that, forgive me.
No, it's fine.
There is no history more interesting than East Europe.
I totally agree with you.
When you go to Eastern Europe, you fall in love with Eastern Europe. It is another world from Western Europe.
It really is. And in many ways, I think it's a better world.
Oh, I couldn't agree more.
So let me tell you this story because I think it says so much about the cultural difference. I mean, you'll love it. So at the hotel that we were staying at in Amsterdam, Hungary, which is about an hour north of Budapest, and it's on the border with Slovakia, hence why we scootered into Slovakia. They had these speakers stay at this hotel, and attached to the hotel was a water park with all these indoor water slides. And so I see that, and I want to go to the water park. And so, the days were very packed. You spoke at this conference, MCC Fest. It's very packed, so much fun, but, a lot of things going on. And so I went to the front desk and I said, speakers who stay at this hotel, are we allowed to use the water park facilities? And he said, yes. And then I was allowed to bring a +1. So I brought my dear friend who I met on the trip, Anna Maria from Hungary. Isn't that cool, by the way? And I know you have this too. I now have best friends from all these different places all over. One of my other best friends is in Latvia.
You didn't even tell me about Anna Maria.
Oh, boy, Anna Maria. Boy,
she's Hungarian?
Boy, is she one to tell you about, yes. She is the catch of all catches. You know when you just catch a friend treasure?
That's beautiful.
I miss her so much. She's just the best. And she's the United Nations Hungarian youth delegate for Hungary. She's one of 2 of them. Look her up, Anna Maria. Anyway, she's definitely going to be embarrassed by that. So I brought Anna Maria and we went to this indoor water slide park. Okay. So there are 2 water slides. I promise you, this is a profound story. There's a yellow one and there's a black one. I go, and by the way, you don't have to sign any waivers. There are no in the United States, you have to sign your whole life away to do anything. There's none of that in Hungary. I went down the yellow water slide, super chill. You can see everything, very fun, whatever. Then I go down the black water slide, and the black water slide is twice as long as the yellow one. You go into this water slide and you can't see anything. It is pitch black dark.
Is the whole slide dark in the dark?
Yes. The whole...
That's part of its appeal. Okay.
The whole... when you are in darkness, you're very disoriented. So you can't see anything. I'm pushing up, down, left, right. I'm still in the tube, but it's very small. And the water flow was so weak that you were barely sliding down the water slide. There were times when my skin got stuck to the water slide and I stopped moving. Now, this is terrifying. You can't see anything. You're in this small space. You're very slowly sliding down. And I started to panic a little bit. I started to go, oh my God, I'm going to get stuck. Do I have to crawl up? Do I have to crawl down? What the heck? It was truly terrifying. I know it sounds stupid, but I started to panic. Then I calmed down and I said, Julie, remember you have God. And I started praying, and then I got out of the water slide. And I went up to the lifeguard and I said, oh my God, that water slide, you get stuck in the middle of it. The water flow is so small and it's so dark. She just looks at me and she goes, that is the point.
Exactly. I would assume that was
I know
the point.
You would, but I'm thinking there's no sign, there's no trigger warning. It was truly scary. And I kind of loved it because it's like, yeah, that's the point. We're going to terrify you. The yellow slide is for fun. The black slide is to terrify you.
She loved it.
Well, and then I started going on it again once I realized what it was. But there was something actually very revelatory to me about that.
Namely?
Well, in the United States, we've become so coddled, and everybody needs a trigger warning, and all the lawyers have to do
and all the
this
things
and
you
that.
have to sign.
And it's not fun. You know, there's no room for... I mean, isn't there this law in California? You can't have a diving board in your backyard.
It's been since I moved
and
here.
This play also, the adherence to rules in Eastern Europe, I think is very fascinating, especially given the communist history. The water park closed at 8 p.m. At 7:45 p.m., we're sitting in a whirlpool. They start draining the water and blowing whistles to get us out of there.
If you're still waiting to buy gold, sitting on the sidelines might cost you precious gains. This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. That's my choice for precious metals. The current economic climate could make buying gold a very desirable safe haven commodity. The government's overprinting of money, the fluctuation of interest rates, and high inflation can all impact the value of gold, and it's why you should seriously consider buying now. I've been working with AmFed Coin and Bullion's owner, Nick Rovich, for years. I'm glad that I jumped into the precious metals market when I did, but it's never too late. Nick's been in the industry for over 42 years, and he's proud of providing transparency and fair pricing to build long-term relationships. Nick and his team have my back, and they will have yours. They recommend what's in my best interest, not theirs, and I never worry about hidden commissions or huge markups. If you're interested in buying or selling, call AmFed Coin and Bullion for a free coin performance review, 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com, AmericanFederal.com. So just guide me chronologically. You flew from the U.S. to where?
Yeah. Chronologically, I flew from the United States to Italy.
Now, in advance, where did you know you would speak?
Romania and Hungary.
So not Italy and not England. That came about spontaneously.
Yes. The Oxford speech was really was
last moment.
Totally last moment. And I spoke about
You met
communism.
my man James there.
I did. Dr. James Orr. He's wonderful. You did the Jordan Peterson. I was very honored. We were at the same dinner, and he comes up to me and he goes, "You're Julie of Dennis and Julie." Turning around.
I can't wait. So let me explain to everybody how big a deal that is. James Orr. I will admit, I got close to all six of us. I think it was 6 or 8, whatever it was, who did the Jordan Peterson Bible series for the Daily Wire.
Excellent.
First Exodus and then the Gospels. And it's very intense. It's an hour and a half each session. There are 8 or 7 sessions? It's a lot of time. So you really get to know your fellow participant. And I liked every single one of them. It was amazing to me, and I said it on camera at the Daily Wire. I'm very sensitive to this because I know that I don't need to hog the camera, and I don't. I know that there were others who spoke more than me, and I speak for a living, so I'm very careful not to speak too much when there were many people involved. But there was no ego. Not one person there was, I want to show off how much I know. The amount that they knew, James Orr, his knowledge.
Oh, I know.
I mean, the man is an encyclopedia.
I know.
But I want to say this publicly on behalf, he's a professor at Cambridge University. I want to just say, I love the man for many reasons, but especially he's a fighter. He fights and he,
God bless him.
And he has lost colleagues as friends.
And for a professor too. I mean, there are very few professor fighters.
So that he watches Dennis and Julie.
I know, it was truly touching. From that.
Well, I want you to know I'm as touched as you are.
I know.
I love that.
Well, it was just, look, I mean, you know, and also I think it's important to note, people see the really fun stuff. And you know this, anytime there's really fun stuff, there's a lot of sacrifice and a lot of behind the scenes things that made that fun stuff possible. But it was an incredible trip. And really the best part was meeting people from all over the world. All over the world. Because, and we talked about this on recent Dennis and Julie's, I was on a Catholic immersion program for young adults from all over the world. The Netherlands, Hungary, Latvia, India, England. I mean, it was absolutely incredible. And I'll just say, you know, for anybody listening who's a young adult, really try to find international programs and go on them while you're young. I am like an international program junkie. At Harvard, when I was a senior, I was very blessed to go on a trip to Israel, ironically, of all places, given all that's going on in higher education now with regard to Israel. But 100 undergraduates got the opportunity to go. I applied, got it. You know, with this immersion retreat, like just... or it's not a retreat, immersion experience. It's actually hardly a retreat. It's very tiring. But young people, you know, use the opportunity to travel. You're not married, you know, people will understand, you know, just go. Obviously be judicious with what program you choose, but there are so many programs all around the world, certainly in the Catholic Church.
Or just go on your own.
Just go. It is so important. And it took a lot for me to go on this trip.
I got married at 32, and I've traveled every single year except for 2020, because you couldn't. I've gone abroad every year since I was 18.
You have to.
So that means for 14 years, I went abroad alone.
Yes.
It was life-shaping.
It was.
I love going with my wife. I love going with the Estrins. I went with the Marmers many years. I loved it, and I still love it. But there is something that is unique to traveling alone.
Yes.
You must engage the culture on its terms. You don't have an American to go back for comfort to.
Yes.
You must engage it, as I said, on their terms. And when I was young and had to do that in all these countries I went to, it was life-shaping, and the growth was incredible.
Well, I mean, I don't want to get into it, but you know the challenges that I faced getting to go on this trip. And, you know, it's obviously a lot to go all around the world. Again, it was so fun, but you know, people don't always understand the behind the scenes challenges, but it is so worth it. And I was traveling alone. There were times I was very scared.
Well, it is.
And as a young woman, there are times that it was very scary.
It takes more guts to travel as a single woman.
Well, thank you. I mean, but you do it.
That's right.
And so I want to tell you a story from Romania. And again, this is so fun because I haven't talked to you about any of this, and we really have saved it for this.
By the way, I've been to Romania at least 4 times. I just want everybody to know.
That's what's so fun.
I know Romania.
And Dennis has mentioned these places on Dennis and Julie, and I will, you know, very earnestly listen and learn. But now it's a totally different experience having gone. Word. And again, please, I just want to say it again. No matter where you are in life, like just please try to make an effort to go abroad. Trust me, I understand the financial constraints. I'm definitely suffering a little bit. And I was lucky to have a lot of it paid for because of my speaking. But invest in yourself. Invest in your growth. When I went on that trip, I was investing in my personal and professional growth and my worldview. And wherever you are in life, wherever you will go, it will shape you. So when I was in Romania, I was speaking in Transylvania, and I took a car from Bucharest to Transylvania. 4-hour drive.
is a region in Romania.
Anybody's read Dracula.
And everybody knows about it through Dracula.
I didn't get to go to Dracula. Honestly, I didn't want to go to Dracula's castle. Being alone in Romania, I just didn't want to go. That was a bridge too far for me. And I had this, I'm hesitating whether or not to tell this story because I don't want to insult my dear driver who may be listening. I don't think he's listening. His name was Attila. my taxi driver, but he was no Hun. Attila was no Hun. Attila was like a 16 or 17-year-old Romanian teenager who was driving me from Bucharest to Transylvania. And he spoke like
Oh, so
this.
he was Attila the Honey.
He was Attila the Honey. He spoke like this. So I get to the Bucharest airport. I'm on the phone with him. God bless him. He's a sweet boy. He doesn't speak any English. I'm like, I'm at the arrivals section. Took us an hour to find each other. We get in the car. We're driving up to Transylvania. This little meek Attila knew how to step on it. This guy is zooming down the road in Romania. And there are no... what do you call them? Like traffic barriers? Divides. And my parents are listening to this, probably having a heart attack. And these big tour buses, by the way, it started pouring rain out of nowhere. It was sunny and then it was pouring rain. And these big tour buses are zooming at us with no roadblock with their high beams. And every time we passed one, Attila would go, oh, every single time. So I'm in the back seat, like doing Hail Marys. I'm in the back seat praying. We have 3 hours to go. Every time the tour bus goes by, Attila goes, oh, I'm like, I'm screwed. I'm dying in Romania. Anyway, we're about 2-3 hours in. Also very windy to get up there to Transylvania. Your dear friend Julie was feeling a little car sick. But this next thing says a lot about Romania. We went to a gas station. So Attila, the honey, could have a smoke break. We go in, and I noticed that there was a phone on the, like by the cash register on the chocolates. There was just a phone sitting there, and I thought, oh, it's the store owner's phone. Whatever. We get back in the car. We keep driving. We're about 10 minutes out from the gas station, and Attila, the honey, turns to me, and he goes, my phone. And he left it back at the gas station. So wait, we turn around, and this is shocking to me as the LA girl. The phone is still there. Right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
I let him back in because I thought, oh, that must be Attila's phone. And he put it, like, I guess when he was paying for his cigarettes, he put it on the chocolate bars. There are people coming in and out of this gas station. It is such a high trust society. In Los Angeles, if you left your phone at the gas station, you wouldn't even bother coming back. You know it's gone. And he just left it there. It was absolutely amazing. In the airport, I left my phone at duty free, and somebody ran out, just a nice person there to come and give it to me. Mm-hmm. I went to the CVS equivalent in Romania. If Sean wants to, I can play a video. I took a video of it.
It's so interesting what they sell here. Little cars, books, there's chess here, games, snacks. It's so organized. Sunglasses over there, toys. Look how civilized and organized it all is. There are no, barriers where you have to ask the person, can you unlock this for me to get my, face cream? Oh, we have bags over here. Wow, look at this. Oh, we have pots. Wow, look at that. And then we have a lovely children's play area. I want to play over here. Over there is a cafe with some nice treats. Nice.
It is so organized. They're selling incredible products. There's no, when you go into CVS here in Los Angeles, you have to have them unlock things to get your face cream. There's none of that. It's just a very high trust, calm society. And it made an immense impression on me from someone in a blue state, in blue city.
That.
See, I don't really remember that.
You don't. You wouldn't. That's correct.
So what are your impressions of Romania? I loved Romania, even with Attila.
So I have obviously, well, it's not obvious. It'll become obvious. I have unique experiences because I was there twice under communism and twice when it was post-communist.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable is right. I mean, I'll just give you one story because I don't know if all listeners know, many do. my field of study was communism. So I went to communist countries. I learned Russian. And I got along in Eastern Europe in Russian because everybody, the second language was not English. The second language when the Soviet Union existed was Russian because it controlled Eastern Europe. So I got along everywhere in Eastern Europe, not in English, but in Russian. So, and I thank God that I had studied it. Are you ready to lose weight but not sure where to start? So I'd like to tell you why I chose PhD weight loss and nutrition. First, Dr. Ashley Lucas has her PhD in chronic disease and sports nutrition. The program is science-based. The PhD program starts with nutrition and is much more. They know 90% of permanent change comes from the mind, and they work on eliminating reasons you gained weight in the first place. There are no shortcuts, no pills, no injections, just solid science, science-based nutrition, and behavior change. If you're ready to lose weight for, I think, the last time, call 864-644-1900, 864-644-1900 to get started. Or online at myphdweightloss.com, myphdweightloss.com. Just make the appointment for your one-on-one consultation. Call today, 864-644-1900. So anyway, that's about the story I'm going to tell. So in Romania, like the rest of the East European countries, I lived like a king. Now, you have to understand, I had no money as a kid, truly no money. It's amazing that I could afford to do these trips.
They're expensive.
Well, they weren't then.
Right. They are now.
There was one of the most famous books in America was called Europe on $5 a Day. I don't know if you never heard of that,
no.
Right? You look it up.
That's amazing.
Amazing, yes. Europe on $5 a day, and no one thought it was a joke. Oh yeah, or let me get the book. I'll know how to do it. I probably lived on $5 a day, except in Eastern Europe. In Eastern Europe, I lived like a king, and the reason was I traded dollars on the black market.
I know.
But let me tell you how I would do it. I really had a great method. Because it's illegal, obviously. You have to go through the bank where you get this fake rate. It was lei, that was the Romanian currency, LEI, I believe. So they would do 100, it was like a 1 lei to $1, which was ridiculous.
I know.
So, or maybe 2, anyway. So I would go to a restaurant, a really good one, and which I could not afford at the regular exchange rate. So what I would do is I would say to the waiter, "Can I pay you in dollars?" And
they love dollars.
So
See,
the guy was.
We have no idea.
Yes, exactly.
We have no idea. In so many ways, we have no idea. The fact that the dollar is the global reserve currency, and everyone wants dollars. It is so totally.
Correct. But then it did deserve to be.
Right.
So I said, "Can I pay you in dollars?" And the guy thought he had hit the lottery.
Of course.
He was thrilled. He said, "Of course." So I would then say, "Okay, how much change will you bring me for my 50 lei dinner," whatever it was that I was. And of course, he would give me a rate about 40 times more generous than the bank.
I know.
So I lived like a millionaire in Eastern Europe. These poor people were so thrilled to get dollars, they would bring me the stack of their own currency.
I paid the taxi driver, in dollars, and they were thrilled.
Yes, that's right.
Thrilled.
That's correct.
And it was,
and that's today.
The taxi
that's not
rate
under communism.
for a 4-hour drive was like what it would cost to take a 30-minute drive anywhere in America.
Right.
And so obviously I
What did Attila say? Yeah.
Oh, he was so sweet. He's definitely not listening. He wanted to get away from me.
So I don't
by the
understand.
end.
He drove you for 4 hours? Did he drive you back?
4 hours with Attila? No, somebody else did.
So he went back on his own?
I think he lives in Transylvania. I don't know. We didn't get to talk. I wanted to talk with Attila. Attila didn't really want to talk.
Well, wait a minute. You said he didn't speak English.
Yeah, he didn't know how to talk with me. He's a sweet. If he's definitely not listening.
He's
if
not
he is,
listening.
you're very sweet.
Don't worry about
sweet
it.
boy, Attila.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. Maybe
I remember.
Get some more confidence.
This was in my. Let me think. I was in college. And I think I was in college, maybe graduate school. I don't know why I'm wasting people's time. It was one of them. So I remember saying to a friend, talking about traveling alone. It's hard to travel alone.
It is. It's lonely. It's scary.
Right,
it's
exactly.
hard. And fun.
It is the better way if you want to grow, but
Yes.
it's like all growth. It comes from pain, not from ease.
Yes.
But I wanted the easy way out. So I said to one friend, hey, I'm going to Europe this summer. You want to come with me? He said, sounds great. Where are you going? I said, Bulgaria. And he thought I was out of my mind. Who the hell vacations in the summer in Bulgaria?
I want to go everywhere. I want to see every inch of the world.
I know you do. Okay. You and I are kindred spirits, but he was normal. My friends were not normal. My friends would go to Puerto Rico during vacations and lie in the sun.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say that between solitary confinement and lying in the sun,
you get so bored.
I might choose solitary confinement. But at least I'm not in the sun. That's what they would do. They go to Puerto Rico or Florida and they'd lie in the sun. And here I was going to Bulgaria, Romania, East Germany, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, Poland.
Well, it's the people. And I know
yes.
this is true. It's the people you meet. And I'll tell you this story. I mean, oh my gosh, I have so many stories to share. I feel like right now we're scratching the surface. And I have a feeling, this has changed my worldview forever. And I know in subsequent Dennis and Julie's, obviously in subsequent Timelesses, it's just going to come up. But I was in Romania, and here's what Americans don't understand. I wasn't talking with people whose parents lived under communism. I was talking with people who lived under communism themselves. We Gen Z who grow up in America, first of all, we don't learn about communism. And second, the extent to which we learn about it, we think, oh, it happened over there and, that's long gone. No, it is not long gone. In fact, I think it's very much alive and well right now in America. But putting that aside, I was talking with this guy and I went from Oxford to Transylvania. It took two-hour car ride from Oxford to Heathrow to Bucharest, and then with Attila from Bucharest to Transylvania. And once I got there, I was just chatting with some people about my speech that I gave at Oxford, which, by the way, people can watch. I'll post it on YouTube. And because I gave it on communist, fascist, and Nazi art and architecture versus Christian art and architecture. And this guy turned out to be an underground Christian artist. In Romania during communism. And he told me a story, and he as he was telling this to me, there were tears in his eyes. His friend was also an underground Christian artist. When the communists found out that they were doing this art, guess what they did to them? They hammered their wrists. They took his friend, the underground Christian artist, and they took his wrist and they hammered it to death so that now the guy's wrists are permanently like this. He can't ever draw again. That is they would put people in the gulags and kill them. But those were just the daily evils and psychological torture and abuse that people living today endured.
That's right. Yep.
There was someone who I met whose parents were in the gulags in Siberia. And their parents, when they came back from the gulags, couldn't tell anyone that they were in the gulags because then they would risk not getting a job because the people who would be employing them would fear that they're employing enemies of the state because they went to the gulag.
Yep.
I was with someone, and every time we walked, we were in this hotel room, she would shut the blinds. She was in her 50s. She would just shut the blinds immediately. And she said, I have this everywhere I go. Like, I need to make sure that I have some kind of privacy for fear of being spied on. I mean, this is the kind of stuff, and this is why I went on the trip. I knew that I would be encountering people with completely different life experiences and worldviews than I. And there's truly nothing more important, especially as Americans, especially as a young American. We are profoundly ignorant. We're ignorant because we're separated by oceans. We're ignorant because our education system has made us ignorant. And I can't tell you how much it taught me. I'll tell you the story about somebody my friend from Latvia. I'll tell that in a minute, but I know I've been talking a lot, so I'm going to pause and let you speak.
No, I'm listening.
I
think, look, I did a video for PragerU. People should all watch it. Why don't people hate communism as much as Nazism?
People don't know anything about communism.
That's right. That's a big reason.
It's horrible.
Yes.
And here's another thing. I mean,
think about it. If you call somebody a Nazi or you call somebody a communist, communist schmommunist.
Yes. And also, there's this great culture in Eastern Europe, which, by the way, also interestingly, many in Eastern Europe call it Central Europe. They don't call their location Eastern Europe.
Right.
But there are many who say that there's this kind of culture of not talking about it. Because again, it's just, I think there's still this residual fear of not actually being honest with what you've been through. There's this culture of be quiet, put your head down and work and don't talk about it. And I'm not trying to blame them for the world not knowing about communism. Hardly. It's America's fault that its citizens don't know about communism. But also, I think the people who have been through it, they have this residual culture of not talking about it.
It's like people who went through the Holocaust or World War II. They don't talk about it. Forget even the Holocaust. American servicemen didn't talk to their children about their experiences in war. And I understand it, but it is a tragedy because people become naive. People don't know evil.
They don't. And it really is a tragedy, but also
they think if they're overcharged on their airline ticket,
yes,
that's real evil.
Or somebody misgenders somebody, then that's real evil. But then it's very interesting because the people who've been through it, yes, they have an obligation to tell it so that people aren't naive. But there are such unspeakable levels of suffering. You can't even blame someone for not just putting it in a box and moving on. I mean, this guy
dated a girl in high school whose parents went through the Holocaust, and every night she would hear screaming from them as in their nightmares. But they wouldn't tell her what they dreamt or what they actually endured. All she'd hear was yelling. And
how interesting, because there are people, I mean, and of course people have horrible, personal tragedies. I'm not trying to say like people who have been through communism know real evil and people who haven't don't. Right. That's not true. It's not as simple as that. But isn't it interesting that we collectively in America view ourselves as victims, and people look at Harry and Meghan. Look at the way they came out and they're like, oh my God, we're the victims. And then there are people who are living today who are in gulags, and they don't even talk about it. It was just staggering to me.
By the way, I just want to make the distinction clear. Many Americans know pain.
Of course, yes.
No, I just want to make the point. But they don't know evil. Not all pain comes from evil. Well,
I mean, not to make it about me, but with my sister Gina, who was abused in her group home, there's pain and evil. I saw both.
That is both.
Some people do know both.
Correct.
But you're right. A lot of people know pain, but maybe not.
No. It's like the girl, I always remember this at one of my speeches at a university, comes up to the microphone and she goes, "Are you saying that women in America are not oppressed?"
And you're like, yes, that is exactly what I'm saying. That's
exactly what I'm saying. But the fact that she thought she's oppressed in her luxury dorm room with an Olympic-sized pool and saunas is a little difficult to take.
I know. It really is. Oh, God, I have so much. I feel like I'm just throwing a lot at you, but I have so much else to tell you. I mean, I'll tell you a story about this one lovely guy who I met who washes dishes in Latvia in order to send money back to his parents in India. And he is on his feet for 14 hours a day washing dishes. 14 hours a day. And he doesn't know.
Wait, where did you meet him?
I'm not going to say just because of privacy of, I don't know. He doesn't.
Well, obviously not in Latvia.
No,
And
on
not
one of
in
these,
India.
in one of these
Right.
places, I met this person.
Okay, fair enough.
It's interesting when you talk about people on the air who.
How many men fell in love with you on this
Oh my
trip?
God, you're so funny. I knew it would come to this.
I don't know why it's funny.
I just expected the question.
Of course, yes, fair enough. So what's the answer?
I'm not even going to dignify it with a response. I'm trying to tell you a story.
Yeah, but I know
evil.
that I know time is
Well,
drawing.
I don't know that. You have
Yeah,
the clock.
well, that's right. So I
don't
know. Okay, so you mean if I tell you there's 1 minute to go, tell me how many men fell in love with you, and then
Dennis,
you'll answer
there are
me?
some things which do not need to make the air. There are some parts of life which we do not have to discuss on the air.
I couldn't agree more. I mean, couldn't disagree more.
So I'm going to plead the fifth on that.
This is what makes this human. Why is it?
Yes, but I don't have to tell you everything. I can tell you. I don't need to tell the audience.
I'm not asking what you did with them.
Oh, God.
That's not everybody's business. But how many men fell in love with you is a perfectly legit question.
You can keep asking. I'm not talking about this on the air.
So let's see. We have
No, stop. You can reach us at Julie. How do they? Is it done? Are we done?
More or less. It's very
Okay. How do
sad.
they reach us?
Yeah, there is a lot more to talk about.
That's great. We'll talk about it.
That's
separately.
right. Wait, did I mention Did we have a? Where did I talk to you from in Europe? Iceland? Where?
We were. I know that was a long time ago. You were in. I was in Italy. I remember. I don't know where the heck you were.
Oh, maybe
it's like where's Waldo? I don't know where you. This trip was now you get a sense of how I usually feel. You were constantly texting me which country are you in? That's my status quo with you.
That's true. That's
you never know where
that is
Dennis
true. That is
in the
legitimate.
world.
Yes. No, I did not do a video from Greenland. It's not easy to do a video from Greenland. I think from Iceland, but it doesn't matter.
You are so funny.
I just wanted to know, just for the sake of the show, or the podcast, not show. But
it's a show.
Okay, that's fine. It's not a dirty word. No. People will think, well, it demeans it if you say it's a show.
Well, it's on the Salem News Channel, so it's a show in addition to a podcast.
Okay. I did it from here, and that's right. She's right. I did it from here. I didn't do one from here.
Wow, you were back by then.
Yeah, when we were on.
Wow.
Yeah, when we were on video. Anyway, give us a.
No.
Yeah. No. Forget the men. You're not going to answer it. Okay, that's fine. I'll guess 6.
No, God.
My guess is 6. Okay, so here is.
You were hilarious. I knew it was coming. I didn't know when,
yes.
But I knew it was coming.
I did. I reserved it. Yes, exactly. In under a minute, and it's a real challenge, seriously.
Yeah.
What did this all do for you?
Oh my God, what didn't it do for me? It brought me closer to God. That's a whole Dennis and Julie unto itself.
You're right.
My
I'm
religious
very curious.
progress.
Yeah.
Definitely brought me to God. It gave me a truly worldly perspective. I better understand history. I better understand human nature. And I think this is going to come out as a very lib statement, but it's true. People are really products of their context. People's life experiences inform their beliefs. I want to go on with examples, but I don't. We don't have the time now.
Right, but we're fighting against that. We want there to be.
You have to try to overcome that.
A truth that hovers above culture.
Exactly. What we're trying to overcome is that. However, nevertheless, it is a very important thing to know about human nature, that people's life experiences inform their beliefs. And I'll end with this. Truly so many stories I could tell. But I was with 2 nuns one night in Rome. It was hilarious, the stories I have for this trip. And I was sitting with them, and I called it a sister sandwich because I had 2 sisters and I was sitting in the middle. Anyway, I said to them, we had this fascinating long conversation about their from? Days. One was a Dominican, one was, I believe,
But what, from where? Dominican is an order of the church. From where was she?
What do you mean, where are they? Like,
geographically?
Well, they live in Rome. But
that's what they were Italian nuns.
No, they're actually American nuns, but they're living in Italy.
So that was
sorry.
A legit
all right.
question.
Okay, sorry. All right, forgive me. Yeah. So we had all these conversations about how they discerned, to enter the nunhood. I know it's not called the nunhood. That's what I call it. Their daily experiences, if they get pushback for being nuns, what it's like being a nun. We had all these fascinating conversations. But I asked them, again, I'm sitting in the middle, and I said, time and time again, because they've been nuns for like 30 years. I said, with all of your meeting people, by the way, they say the most people come up to them in airports. They said they might as well be members of TSA, or because people come up to them all the time in airports. I said, through all of your experiences, what is one truth about the human condition that has been revealed to you time and time again?
I'm dying
What do you
to
think
hear.
they said?
I have no idea.
I'm gonna give a moment. I want you to just think of what you think they said, and I encourage the listeners.
I think they said people are beautiful. And that's not my general view.
They said the first sister said people want to be loved.
Uh-huh.
And the second sister said people don't know how loved they really are.
That's fascinating. Well, it's a very Christian answer.
It is. And that we will save for the next episode.
Yes, that is worth. Yeah.
Any thoughts on Biden stepping down and Kamala? I mean, nothing is shocking at this point. Oh my God. I need to tell you the story of of course, it didn't take, as I said, a Nostradamus level prophecy to see this, but I can tell you the moment when I knew he was stepping down. Because remember, he gave that George Stephanopoulos interview where he said, only if God, Lord Almighty. I swear to God, like 2 days later, this is when I knew it was over for him. He was speaking and he was trying to recall the name of his defense secretary, Lloyd Austin. And he said something like, he was like, that guy, the defense secretary, the black man, Ketanji Brown, Oh my God. And that's when I knew.
I didn't know he said that.
He did. That's when I knew. Because he confused black people. And that in the Democratic Party is a cardinal sin.
He confused sex and race.
And race. And that is when I knew he was done. And I tweeted, Joe Biden is about to step down. And people wrote, no, he's not. No, he's not. And I usually don't tweet like that. I don't do stuff like that. But I saw that and I knew he was stepping down. And then the Axios report dropped the day later with all the inside people saying that he was going to drop. And then he did the Twitter announcement. Bye.
Next week, she'll answer my question.
No, I won't. That will never happen. But you can tell them how they can reach us.
Nice. By having you tell them.
I actually forget. What's my whole spiel again? What's my email? That's right. You can reach me at julie@julie-hartman.com. I love hearing from you. And you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Julie R. Hartman. Let's see if I can remember this. Dennis on Instagram at the Dennis Prager.
Really?
Which oh my God.
DennisPrager.com is the best, and PragerU.com.
Oh, nothing changes. It's a great comfort.
No, some things change, but this doesn't.
This one doesn't.
Right.
It's really great to be back. And we missed you very much.
True.
Shalom.